Hello, this is Math 0018, Section 4.1. So this is the beginning of the decimal chapter. We're going to be looking today at place value, rounding decimals to a given place value, and comparing decimals. So here is a chart of all the decimal places, not all of them, but pretty far back to the right of the decimal point to the 10,000ths place, and up to whole numbers to the 10,000s. So one thing you want to notice is that the place values to the right of the decimal point all end in THS. Okay, and so anytime you're describing a decimal number, the place value will have a THS at the end of that word. The place values to the left of the decimal point all end in just S. Okay, so you have the decimal point in the middle, and basically when you're counting your place values, you start at the decimal point and you count to the left for the whole numbers, and you count to the right with the decimal numbers. So it always starts at the decimal point and either goes to the left or to the right. Okay, so look at where the decimal point is. To the left we have the ones place, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. After that we'd have 100,000s and millions. Okay, to the right of the decimal point, our first place value to the right of the decimal is tenths, then hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths. The next would be 100,000ths and millions. I don't think we're going to go anywhere past that. But what's important is you don't have to be able to just like look at a decimal place and say, oh, that's the 10,000s. If you can count back to it and figure out the place value, that's all you need to do. So you do need to know the order there, tenths, hundredths, thousands, 10,000s, like that, so that you can count back to the different place values. All right, so one thing to notice, and this is what we were just talking about, every digit to the right of the decimal point is always going to be ending with THS. So for example, 0.6 is read as 6/10ths with that THS on the end. Sounds like you're spitting on somebody, like who talks like that? Tweety Bird, okay? So, or somebody, Elmer Fudd. Something, okay? So it says determine the place value of a decimal. So the directions say identify the place value of each underlined digit. Well, on number 1 we've got the 6 is underlined. So here's your decimal point, and you're going to count to the right tenths and then hundredths. So the 6 is in the hundredths place, and you have to make sure that you have that THS there. And these problems will most likely have like a multiple choice type thing, a drop down menu that you would choose the word there. Okay, so number 2, negative 0.85692, we want to figure out the 2. So starting at the decimal point, you're going to count to the right to that decimal place. Okay, so tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, 100,000, wait, 10, yeah, 10,000s, 100,000s. Is that right? I think so. Okay, so let's try that again. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000s, 100,000s. Yep, so that would be in the 100, and I'm just going to abbreviate 100 there. Okay, thousands. That's a very long word. Okay, so in the next one, 293.607, the 9 is to the left of the decimal point. So this is in the whole numbers part. So start at the 3, that's your ones place. The 9 is in the tens. Notice that it does not have THS. It's on the left, so it just ends in S. All right, number 4, 5.378. The 3 is just to the right of the decimal point, so that is your tenths place. Okay, number 5, we're looking at the digit 5 there. So at the decimal point we count back tenths, hundredths, thousands. So that 5 would be in the thousands place. Another long word there. All right, and number 6, we're looking for the place value of the 9. So start at the decimal point, count to the right. Tenths, hundredths, thousands, 10,000s. So that's the place value of that 9. All right. So here's some for you to try. Pause the video and try these 4 problems. All right, number 1, identify the place value of each underlined digit. So the 2, look at where it is. It's on the left of the decimal point. So start at the decimal point and count to the left. Ones, tens, hundreds. So not hundredths, but hundreds, just with an S. Okay? Number 2, we're to the right of the decimal point, so that means it has to end in THS. Start at the decimal point and count to the right. Tenths, hundredths. So look at the difference between the words here. Hundredths. Sounds weird. Hundredths. THS on the end. Very important. Okay? All right, number 3, the 2 is just to the right of the decimal point. That first decimal place is always to the right of the decimal. It's always going to be your tenths place. Okay? And number 4, don't worry about the negative sign. Doesn't mean anything. Just look at the digit. The 0, we're going to count back from the decimal point. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So that would be in the thousands place. Excuse me. All right. So now we're going to look at rounding decimals. They will tell you what place value they want you to round the decimal off to. Okay. So it's the same rules that you use when you round whole numbers, except instead of changing all of those digits to the right to zeros, we completely drop them off when we round decimals. Okay? So remember, if the digit to the right of our given place value number is less than 5, then all the digits are dropped and our place value digit stays the same. Okay? So look at this example. Excuse me. Round 6.9237 to the nearest hundredth. Okay, so the 2 is in our hundredths place. Okay? Now, that means we have to look at the 3. Well, 3 is less than 5. It's, lower than 5. So we just drop those 2 digits off, and the 2 does not change. So your answer is 6.92. So here's your rules for rounding decimals. The first thing you have to do is find the digit that's one place to the right of your given place value. Okay? Now, if that digit is 5 or greater, then you're going to add 1 to the place value digit, and then all the other digits to the right get dropped. If the digit to the right is less than 5, then everything stays the same and you just drop the digits to the right. Okay, that's kind of weird, but just remember, 5 and up, you round up. If it's less than 5, it all drops off and the place value digit stays the same. That's kind of the easiest way to remember it. All right. So here's some rounding. Round 0.9375 to the nearest thousandth. So the first thing we have to do is find the digit in the thousands place. So starting at the decimal, we count back tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So the 7 is in the thousands place. That's what we're rounding off to that place value. So we have to look at the 5. Well, 5, the digit to the right is 5, so that's 5 and up. So that means we're going to add 1 to the 7. 1 plus 7 is 8. And we bring down all the other digits to the left. Those always come down, but the 5 just completely drops off. So to the nearest thousandth, that would be 0.938. Okay? Number 2, round 2.5963 to the nearest hundredth. So look at your decimal place right there, 2.5, the decimal point's there. The hundredths place would be 5 is in the tenths, hundredths, the 9 is in the hundredths. Okay? So we have to look at the 6. 6 is 5 or bigger, so we're going to round up 1. We're going to add 1. Now this is kind of tricky. 1 plus 9 is 10. So you put down a 0. But you have to carry that 1 to the next digit to the left. And 1 plus 5 is 6. So we don't do any more carrying, but you must bring down the decimal point and the 2. So your answer there is 2.60. Okay? Number 3, round 72.416 to the nearest whole number. Okay? So the whole number, the first place in the whole numbers place is the 2. So we're looking back at the 4 on the other side of the decimal point. Well, since it's less than 5, that means we don't do anything to the 72, but everything else drops off. So your answer is just 72. Okay? If this had been something like 72.5, then it would have rounded up to 73. Okay? All right, here's some more. Round 25.008 to the nearest hundredth. Okay, so this second 0 here is in the hundredths place. So the 8, that's 5 or more, so we're going to add 1 to our place value digit. 1 plus 0 is 1, and then bring down all the other digits to the left. So we get 25.01, and the 8 drops off completely. Okay? Round 930.2097 to the nearest thousandth. So the thousandths place, we've got tenths, hundredths, thousandths. The 9 is in the thousandths place. Okay? 7 is 5 or greater, so we're rounding up by 1. So 1 plus 9 is 10. Carry a 1 to the next digit. 1 plus 0 is 1. And then now nothing else carries, so we bring down the 2 and the 0 and the 3 and the 9. And so that would be your answer to the nearest thousandth, 930.210. Now number 6, this one's kind of tricky. Round 5.9998 to the nearest tenth. Okay, so this very first 9 is in the tenths place. So the second 9, 5 or greater, so we're going to add 1, okay? And 1 plus 9 is 0, so you have to, it's not 0, it's 10. You write down the 0 and you carry the 1, and 1 plus 5 would be 6. So you have 6.0 to the nearest tenth. Okay, so pause your video and try these on your own. Number 1, round 14.795 to the nearest tenth. So the 7 is in the tenths place. So we look at the 9, that's going to definitely round up. So 1 plus 7 would be 8, and bring down the 14. And the 9, 5 dropped off. Okay? Number 2, 4.81542. We want to round that to the nearest thousandth. So we have to count back from the decimal point, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. The 5 is in the thousandths place. The 4 is not going to round that up because it's not 5 or bigger. So that means the 5 stays the same, and so does everything to the left, and the 4, 2 just drop off completely. Okay? And number 3, round 52.9999 to the nearest hundredth. Okay, so the second 9 is the hundredths place. Okay? Which means we're looking at the third 9. Well, that's definitely going to round that up. So 1 plus 9 is 10. Carry that 1. 1 plus 9 is 10. Carry that 1, but also make sure you bring down the decimal point. 1 plus 2 is 3, so we don't carry any 1s. The only time you carry to the next digit is when you get a 10. And then the 5 comes down. So to the nearest hundredth, that would be 53.00. All right, here's some more you tries. Round 187.26489 to the nearest hundredth. So the 2 is in the tenths, and then 6 is in the hundredths. The 4 is not going to round that up. It's less than 5. So that means the 6 stays the same, and the 2, and then copy down everything else to the left, and the 489 just drop off. Number 5, round 2.683645, good grief, to the nearest tenth. So the 6, this first 6 here after the decimal point, is in the tenths place. The 8 is going to round that up, so I add 1. 1 and 6 is 7. Bring down the decimal point and the 2, and everything else drops off. Okay? And number 6, round 83.519 to the nearest whole number. So the 3 here is the first digit in the whole number places because it's on the left side of the decimal point. So you're looking at the 5. Well, that 5 is 5 or greater, so you're going to add 1. So that would be 4 and 8, and it would just be 84. And you don't even put zeros after it, just 84. You don't even have to put the decimal point there. Okay? All right. Now our last objective is to compare decimals. So what you have to do is you want to make sure that they have the same number of digits behind the decimal point. So if they don't, then you need to add zeros, okay, so that all the decimal numbers have the same number of digits behind the decimal point, okay? And then once you've done that, ignore the decimal point and compare the numbers just as you would whole numbers, all right? So It says place the correct symbol less than or greater than between the two numbers. So we have 0.9 and 0.37. Now, most people think, oh, well, 9's way smaller than 37. But what you have to remember here, we need to add a 0 behind this 9. Okay, so that they both have 2 digits behind the decimal point. So what you're really looking at here is 90 versus 37. Well, 90 is greater than 37. Okay? Now, the second one, we have 6.63, 2 digits behind the decimal point, and 6.364, 3 digits. So we need to add a 0. All right, so now you're looking at 6630 or 6364. Well, 6630 is greater than. Just ignore the decimal points when you start to compare the numbers. All right, here we have 0.2, this is number 3, 0.2 and 0.05. So I need to add a 0 to the left. So we're looking at 20 versus 5. So 20, always read from left to right. 20 is greater than 5. Okay? And number 4, we have 0.04591. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 digits behind the decimal point. And over here, 0.0459, that's 4 digits, so we need to add on a 0 there. So really what you're looking at is 4591 and 4590. Well, 4591 is greater than 4590. So this whole slide, everything was greater than. Kind of weird. All right, so try these on your own. Figure out which one's less than or greater than. Remember to read them from left to right. Number 1, 0.6 or 0.73. So we need to add a 0, and that would be 60 is less than or greater than 73. Well, that's less than. Okay? On number 2, we've got 2 digits to the right, 3.31, but here we have 3.321, 3 digits, so I need to add a 0. So we're looking at 3,310 or 3,321. Well, 3310 is less than. Okay? All right, number 3, we have 0.1 and 0.07. So I need to add a 0. So we're looking at 10 versus 7. 10 is greater than 7. Okay? And number 4, 0.038 and 0.0381. I need to add a 0. Well, 380 is less than 381. Okay? And that is it for this section.